People are saying Aaliyah's death wasn't really an accident, that her report was changed, just like her papers with R. Kelly. And now everyone's wondering what really happened to her.
I ran through the phone and I spoke to the director, Hype Williams, and he said, Aaliyah's gone. And I was devastated. I immediately called Minister Farrakhan and asked him, could he call God? Could he talk to God? And he said, oh, my brother.
It's a lot to process. They've been 20 years later.
People keep asking why Hype Williams took the plane Aaliyah was supposed to be on, and why her own uncle got a huge $90 million insurance in her name just 3 days before she died. Like, something about that timing feels way too strange.
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down. Good evening, I'm Lauren Glassberg in for Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Tim Fleischer. The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress. Jeff Rosten is live in Times Square with more on her life. Jeff.
And Aaliyah had a huge following, not only here in New York City, but nationwide. Only 22 years old, this pop sensation was a popular singer. She was an actress in some movies recently, even a Grammy nominee. Tonight, her family is in mourning. Fans asking, why her? Relatives in shock outside Aaliyah's home on the Upper West Side. The R&B star lived here at the Century, Central Park West and 63rd. She was on a small plane heading to Florida from the Bahamas, where she was shooting a...
Back in August 2001, when Aaliyah was at the top of her game, she got on a plane that never should have taken off with a pilot who wasn't even cleared to fly, and it felt like everything that could go wrong that day really did. People called it a tragic accident at first, but later whispers started saying it wasn't just a crash at all, that it was actually hiding something way darker.
When the twin-engine Cessna crashed, witnesses said it rolled hard to the left after taking off and fell almost straight down. There have been unconfirmed reports that the pilot, Luis Morales of Fort Lauderdale, may have questioned the amount of cargo and passengers to be loaded, and that's one of the first areas investigators will look into.
One thing we may discover that we can determine the weight of the luggage, which may help the investigators in determining whether the plane had an overload.
The crew that perished in the crash traveling with Aaliyah was scheduled to come back to South Florida on Sunday with the charter company Sky Limo in this 15-passenger plane, which can carry up to 4,500 pounds of fuel, passengers, and luggage. But for some reason, Aaliyah and her entourage chose to leave on Saturday afternoon in the smaller Cessna.
We feel very terrible about what happened. It was obviously a terrible tragedy. One of those things of fate that, if she'd been on this plane that next day, maybe this all wouldn't have happened. We all wouldn't be here.
In New York City, a mural was made Monday in remembrance of the young R&B star who many said had an unlimited future.
Aaliyah was running the whole music game with her smooth voice and crazy talent songs like One in a Million and Are You That? Somebody were everywhere. And even though she was only 22, people were already calling her the next big queen, saying she had more natural charm and didn't need to marry anyone to shine. She had a double platinum album at 16, and just 2 months after her third one dropped, she was suddenly gone.
At that time, how did you explain that some record companies were rejecting her?
How did I what? I'm sorry, what did you say?
How did you explain the fact that some record companies didn't...
The fact that, some people weren't sure and didn't really think I had what it took. Of course it was painful. Rejection is painful, but, I felt deep in my heart and in my soul that I had it and that I would do it and that I could do it. And I honestly believed that no matter what anybody said. And I continued. I said, fine, you don't want me, somebody else will. And I will prove it. I will get out there and I will be a star. And I really meant it. And you have to have that frame of mind. You have to have that kind of confidence to make it in this industry or you won't make it. So I did it. And I'm very proud of the fact that
People still wonder who really gained from Aaliyah's death. Like, was it just bad luck? Or did someone plan it because if it wasn't an accident, then someone out there knows the truth?
Age is just scary because that could have been any one of us. And she was an angel, and I know that now she's with
Aaliyah's plane was never safe to fly. It was hundreds of pounds too heavy, and the pilot, Luis Morales, wasn't licensed or sober. They said he was hired just days before and had drugs in his system when the crash happened.
In those 7 months that he was building his hours, he was arrested twice. The first time was in November of 2000 after he tried to return $345 of stolen aviation parts. The second time he was arrested was on July 7th when he was pulled over for running a stop sign and police found crack cocaine in his car, and Lewis told the officer that he was in the area to buy cocaine for a friend. And if you're wondering how a guy like this is allowed to continue flying, here's the truth. Pilots have up to 60 days to self-report alcohol or drug-related convictions. And technically, Lewis was still within the 60-day window at the time of the crash, but he hadn't self-reported yet. I'm not sure what Lewis was thinking, but a few weeks after his arrest, things started to quickly spiral out of control leading up to the crash. Over the course of 19 days, from July 29th to August 17th, Lewis logged multiple flights for an additional 490 hours of flight time. And if you do the math, that's impossible because that's almost 26 hours a day. Now, during that time period, in order for Lewis to fly for a private charter company, he needed to pass what's known as a Part 135 check ride conducted by an FAA examiner. Now, that examiner is supposed to review your logbook as part of that process, and that check ride allegedly took place with a company called Golden Airlines on August 13th. That was just 12 days before the tragedy. However, August 13th was also the day that Lewis appeared in court and pled no contest to the possession and dealing in stolen property. Now, at this court hearing, since he was a first-time offender, the judge gave him probation and said that as long as Lewis could provide a constant stream of paychecks to verify his employment, then the state probation officials were ordered not to contact his employer. And this is likely why no one ever found out about any of this before.
The scariest part is that Aaliyah seemed to know something was off. She wasn't even supposed to be on that plane at all. Her producer, Hype Williams, took the one meant for her, so she ended up on an old beat-up jet with a pilot high on drugs. And what's worse, people say she wasn't even awake when they put her on board.
It's the 25th, as you heard earlier, 2001. Aaliyah and 8 others died in this fiery plane crash just a minute after taking off from an airport in the Bahamas. Sadly, no one survived. Now, she'd been filming a music video just 200 miles east of Miami. A witness has since come forth claiming Aaliyah was given a pill before she got on the flight. What have you uncovered about that allegation?
Yeah, the new book, Baby Girl, reveals some new details about the final moments before that tragic accident. And according to the author, Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot. And the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly, but it does reveal some new information about those final.
It turns out, Hype showing up that day wasn't just some random thing her manager later said. R. Kelly and Aaliyah's mom were the ones who pushed for Hype to be there. And later, court papers claimed R. Kelly and Hype were involved in some really disturbing plans together, and R. Kelly was even secretly seeing her mom behind the scenes.
Just for her to go down to the Caribbean to shoot this?
Hype Williams. Yeah, Hype was the director. Be very honest with you, I did not want to use Hype Williams, but there was a push from management, which is her mom, to do a video with Hype. I did not really want to work with Hype Williams. I regret that. If I could do it over again, I would not have worked with him. And I don't know where the video would have been shot. Would it have been still shot there or someplace else? But it's the first time I've ever said that. But that's what was in my heart when his name came up.
So So it was more your sister than R. Kelly pushing for Hype Williams?
I don't know, but that's a very good question. There was some type of rapport my sister had with Robert Kelly that began to creep into our lives. And I really don't know what that is. I really couldn't tell you what that is. That's something my sister would have to talk about. But I did feel, because Hype and R. Kelly had a relationship because he directed a lot of Robert's videos. So the fact that you just said that is very amazing, because it was a push to use Hype more than there was a push to use anybody.
What's crazy is, it wasn't just her mom mixed up in this. Her uncle, who said he tried everything to protect her, actually took out a life insurance policy in her name just 4 days before she died. And honestly, that timing feels way too perfect to just be an accident.
4 days before they went to the Bahamas for Aaliyah's music video shoot, her uncle and his company Blackground Records went into court and received a some type of demand, some type of waiver, to where if there was anything that happened to anyone on set in the Bahamas, that they would not be responsible. Ultimately, her uncle went to the court in New York and said, hey, we've got something going on in the Bahamas. If anyone were to get hurt here, how do we protect ourselves and make sure that we can't be sued or be held liable? And ultimately they came up with this, and this was literally created 4 days before they went to the music video shoot. So it seemed like he knew that something was going to happen in the Bahamas, and didn't want his company or anyone to be held accountable. And literally, this complaint brings up the fact that, if anyone were to die, he would not be at fault. His company would have no damages sustained if someone were to pass away, which seems like a huge, waiver to have. Why does his company have this power, and why did they prepare this before this shoot where the main star passes away?
Aaliyah dies. I was with Barry when Aaliyah died for a wrongful death. He got paid $90 million for her death. Am I supposed to say that on TV? Sue me. I ain't got nothing. So I was with him on the negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Blackground Records. He's married to Gladys Knight. Wow. So he had Timberland, Genuine, Missy Elliott, and Aaliyah is his niece. You know?
Oh, wow.
Aaliyah's his niece. So he got a settlement for $90 million for her death.
Was that just for his rights or whatever he owned?
What she would have been able to make if she hadn't died.
Oh, okay. There was a lot of lawsuits.
I guess, but that was the settlement. I wasn't in. I was there when we went over to he got $90 million. He wouldn't stayed at the L'Hermitage Hotel. We ate good.
Aaliyah's death came at a time that oddly worked out for a lot of big names in the industry. Beyonce was feeling the pressure. R. Kelly's secret marriage was about to blow up, and even Diddy was said to be mad that she turned him down. Aaliyah was rising fast, and the powerful people at the top didn't like that one bit.
Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who was a victim of Sean Carter. Yeah. Mary J. Blige, who was a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened, and yet they at the sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it.
R. Kelly thought if Aaliyah was gone, his secrets would stay buried. He made her promise to deny they were ever married, even though their papers came out a few months later. He told her to never speak about it. And it wasn't until 20 years later, in 2021, that he finally admitted in court that he had married and hurt her.
18, you already went to your prom. Is it possible at all to have a relationship on the road? I would say it's possible. I just don't have one. I don't have one right now. I don't have a boyfriend. And I can't say I'm really looking. I think it'll come along at the right time. I have a lot of friends, and when that guy comes along, I'll know it, he'll know it, and then it'll happen. But I am really busy with the career and the fact that I'm getting ready to go back to school, so I'll just see how it works out.
3 years ago, there was this terrible rumor out. What is the deal with you and R. Kelly? Are you all married or not?
No, I'm not married. Robert's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. He's a great producer, great artist who I do admire, and there's nothing there at all.
Their situation, they had a pact, pins and eyeballs. No matter what anyone said or if anyone stuck pins in their eyeballs, they would never tell about their relationship. Things like that.
Okay, so what exactly did he tell you about his relationship with Aaliyah outside of the pins and eyeballs thing?
He told me that they were married, that she was pregnant, that they did doctor up the marriage certificate so she would say that she was 18 so they could get married. And the reason they got married was because they felt like if he was married to her and if he said he thought that she was 18, that he wouldn't be charged if someone found out she was pregnant until they were able to get the abortion and get it annulled.
The real shock is that it wasn't only outsiders tied to what happened to Aaliyah. Her own family played a part too. Her mom, who should have been looking out for her, was secretly involved with R. Kelly, and even after the crash, she didn't want anyone digging into it, while her uncle, the one who said he was protecting her, walked away with $90 million after her death.
Ask him at all why he was having, because he was probably, 24, 25 at the time? Like, why he was having the 14-year-old?
Yeah, he was older. I never asked him why. I guess because we were kind of like in a conversation of just confiding in each other. But he did get a little more in depth with more details about when her mother found out, and that her mother, he actually stayed at their home in Detroit, and her mother actually was attracted to him as well. And he said when Aaliyah would go to sleep that he would, this is what he said. He said that he would go in the living room and him and her would do acts on the couch while Aaliyah was sleeping in the bedroom.
R. Kelly was having Aaliyah and her mother at the same time? Not the exact same time, but
that's what he said.
Time frame?
That's what he says, yeah.
Oh, so maybe this is why Aaliyah's parents have never spoken out themselves.
Makes sense to me.
When you learned, I'll say David, what did you do when you learned that R. Kelly had illegally married your niece Aaliyah?
Went crazy. I really went into myself. I met with the minister and really had to debrief me, and because my reaction was not a good reaction. I had no understanding of it. I had no compassion for it. It was just totally out of the realm of what I would think any young girl should ever have to experience. And I made myself known, obviously, to Robert Kelly, and in a conversation, and I've never spoken to him again to this day.
What did you say to him?
Things like, who do you think you are? And we trusted you. I've worked very hard to make your career happen.
You were managing him.
Yes.
You must have felt terribly betrayed.
I was betrayed. And my whole family was betrayed.
The wild thing is Aaliyah's family wasn't the only one that turned a blind eye. R. Kelly said every girl he messed with had parents who already knew what was going on, but they didn't care as long as he kept paying them off. And that's why he started getting mad at them when the truth finally came out.
Been assassinated. I have been buried alive. But I'm alive.
So I think the point you're making is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have never held anybody against their will.
I don't need to. Why would I?
Well,
how stupid would never held for R. Kelly, with all I've been through in my way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that?
I didn't say you
That's
were holding.
stupid, guys.
I didn't.
Is this camera on me?
Yes, it's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense. Don't forget the blogs. Forget how you feel about me. Hate me if you want to, love me if you want, but just use your common sense. How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle. Stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
Tonight, a federal judge in Brooklyn sentenced singer and convicted sexual predator R. Kelly to 30 years in prison.
This is a significant outcome for all victims of R. Kelly, and especially for the survivors who so bravely testified about the horrific and sadistic abuse they endured.
The one-time music superstar faced life behind bars after a jury found him guilty in federal court on 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of trafficking. The trial lasting nearly 6 weeks, with close to 50 witnesses testifying against Kelly, more than half of them alleging a...
Leaked reports say R. Kelly's actions were never really hidden. People around him knew exactly what he was doing, but they stayed quiet because the money kept coming in. And when the payments stopped, so did the silence. All those whispers turned into real stories, and everything everyone tried to ignore finally came out for the world to see.
Right told us that Jay-Z was worse than Diddy. And we're gonna go ahead and deep dive this Jay-Z and Diddy connection to show just how deep this might actually go. The one thing I can't stand is seeing these photos of Jay-Z and Diddy with Aaliyah. It makes me sick to my stomach. We know that Diddy and Jay-Z have both been friends with R. Kelly for years, and Jay-Z continued to make albums with R. Kelly after all the information came out with him and Aaliyah. And I'd say this is because Jay-Z was pretty comfortable with the fact that he knew he also wanted Aaliyah, and honestly, so did Diddy. And Aaliyah's death has never sat right with me. There are so many sketchy things around her death that just don't make sense. The fact that Aaliyah was given a substance and knocked unconscious and then was carried onto this plane that she didn't want to get on because she thought that something was wrong with it that led to her death is just crazy. There's also even more disturbing information about Aaliyah's pilot of that plane, and they said that he had just joined the program 2 days prior before the flight, and he wasn't even supposed to be the pilot on that flight.
Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep.
8 people were gone that day, including Aaliyah, 5 right there on the spot, and 3 more after they said the plane barely lifted before it tilted and crashed. The report said she had burns and a bad head injury, and it all sounded so sudden, so unreal. But no matter how many reports came out, people still can't shake the feeling that there's more to this story than anyone's ever told.
Positioned on runway 27, the west-facing side, Captain Morales powered up his plane and began the takeoff run. The plane would use little over half of the runway to accelerate to takeoff speed. Captain Morales angled his plane into the air and immediately experienced difficulty in controlling the aircraft. In the plane's very short flight, the aircraft peaked at an altitude under 100 feet above the runway. As the plane was highly unbalanced, the Cessna pitched into a high nose-up attitude. The left wing began to drop as not enough lift was being generated by the wings to sustain the excessive weight of the aircraft. This led into a left bank and the nose dropped. In a nose-down left bank attitude, the Cessna crashed into the ground in a marshy area just beyond the end of the runway. A fire consumed the wreckage of the aircraft. 8 of the plane's 9 occupants were dead, killed when the plane crashed. There was one initial survivor, Aaliyah's own bodyguard, Scott Gallen. He was found by first responders, but he passed away shortly after the crash. The investigation put the accident down to multiple factors: an overweight plane, improper distribution of the weight, an unqualified pilot, falsified documents, and poor airline management.
So
some are wondering whether the crash that took Aaliyah's life was truly an accident. Despite no definitive evidence, some online sleuths believe that Aaliyah's death may have been organized to protect famous faces in the music industry who may have been involved in Diddy's alleged crimes. More intriguing, however, is a detail concerning the moments before the fateful plane crash. According to the Daily Beast, Aaliyah had a known fear of flying. Some question why she would have boarded the private plane, which was small and overloaded with luggage, a contributing factor in the crash. An eyewitness whose family reportedly owned the taxi company Aaliyah and her team used to get to the airport claimed to have seen her being carried onto the
They say nobody truly knows what happened in those last moments with Aaliyah, but come on, this story never sounded like just an accident. A pilot who shouldn't have been flying a plane that was too heavy, a last-minute switch, and a girl who wasn't even supposed to be there. It all feels too connected to be chance, from the insurance money to the people who benefited after she was gone. Every piece points to something darker and makes you wonder what secret Hollywood is still trying so hard to hide. If you want to keep digging into stories they try to hide and hear all the wild truths the media won't touch, make sure you hit that follow and stick around, because here on Taylor Tells All, we spill everything they don't want you to know.